Hey everybody, welcome to Bura. In this episode, we're going to be asking the question, does playing games prevent you from becoming a millionaire? Alright, welcome back. Before we start this video, I want to make sure that you like and subscribe. The more likes and subscribers we get, the more content we can make. So, let's talk about playing video games and what you should be doing with your free time, especially if you're a programmer or entrepreneur, and does playing video games too much prevent you from being a millionaire? So let's take out the first obvious thing. Now, you can actually make a ton of money, and that is a lot of money playing video games if you have a popular YouTube channel or Twitch stream, and this is of course one way that you can monetize your video game habit. Now, of course, this is very, very difficult to do, and there's a very high failure rate. So if you try and fail, it's probably not you, it's probably just the competition. Generally, it's easy to become a millionaire when you don't have a lot of competition. We all know about supply and demand, but I've found it personally, if there's less supply of something and there's a lot of demand, then that's a much easier route to success than if there's a lot of demand and a lot of supply. So I'm talking mostly about people playing video games in their spare time. I'm not talking about people trying to become professional streamers or esports professionals. So one of the things Steam does is it tracks the time you play a game, and some other games time shame you in the same way. They show you how many hours you've played. Now, if you've played a game for 500 hours, think about what you could have done in that 500 hours of time. Now, of course, hindsight is 20/20, but it's pretty easy to see that maybe if you played half as much of whatever game you were playing, you could have probably learned a new skill or something. 250 hours is a long time, and you can do a lot in 250 hours of focused work. Now, of course, work is good, but focused work is better. So if you did 250 hours of focused work, you could learn a bunch of new skills, and I think this is really good. Now, of course, life can be difficult and sometimes it can be boring. One of the things that I like to do personally is if I have a long flight, now of course this is pre-COVID when I actually used to fly, but if I have a long flight, the best thing that I like to do is pull up Civilization and play a bunch of Civilization while I'm on the plane. I think it's probably one of the best ways to spend a flight. Now, of course, I could be watching tutorials and doing other things, but personally, just playing the game in your seat is a great way to pass the time. And if you use this time for leisure, you can use your other time when you're not on a plane to do a little bit more focused work. So of course, you really have to be cognizant of what you're using your spare time for. Are you just using it to play video games? Are you improving? And the answer should be a little bit of both. If you completely stop playing video games, well, it might not be so good. You might not be as happy of a person. Now, personally, I absolutely love immersing myself in a good video game now and again. One of the last games I really liked was Jedi Fallen Order, and I had a little review about it when I finished it here. And I think that was a really good game, and I really enjoyed playing it, and I really wish there would be more story-based games. Now, this particular game is kind of like a novel. It's not exactly the same as reading. Probably reading a novel is a little bit more productive and a little bit more intelligent, but I did like enjoying it nevertheless. So I played that game for about 10 hours, and I think that's 10 hours well spent. Now, of course, there are other games that just suck you in and you spend hundreds, if not thousands of hours in it. Now, I would recommend that you just don't play those games. So try to play the games that have a definite beginning and end. If you have a game that has a definite beginning and a definite end, after you finish that game, it's done. And mentally, you can just move on to either the next game or something else. Now, the thing is, you also have to do things in moderation. Now, one of the most productive times in my life is when I stopped playing video games altogether. I did watch a lot of videos at this time, which was pre-Netflix, but I thought that was time well spent because at the end of the day, when I was tired with school, I would just kind of zone out, and I think it was a great way to set me off into bed. Now, one of the things that I like doing before bed today is to listen to an audiobook, and one of the apps I really like is Blinkist. You can get an audiobook done in 20 minutes, and I think there's no better way to fall asleep. But back on track, should you play video games? Well, I think you should play video games, but not too much. In fact, you should probably cut your video game habit down by about half. That should be your goal. And the way to do this is to just stop whenever you think that you've played too much. So what you really want to do is that if you want to imagine your video game as a bar of 100%, just play it for maybe 5% less each time for maybe about 2 months, and eventually you will get down to that 50%. And if you can get down to that 50%, chances are your career will be better and you will have learned new things. All you have to do is play a little bit less video games and maybe watch some YouTube tutorials. That's all you have to do. Maybe learn a new game engine, play an instrument, start working out, do something. Get in the habit of just playing video games less. Half the problem is you being in the habit of playing the video game. Once you break that habit, it's very easy. So over the years, I've noticed that I've had some really good experiences with video games, and video games have just kind of sucked my time. You have to really eliminate those video games, because once you break that habit, you will start to find that you will want to play less video games. And believe it or not, if you completely shut out video games for maybe a month or two, you'll find that you really will miss some parts of it. There's nothing better than getting into a good game. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. However, I do think there is a bit of a problem with playing video games too much. So in short, video games are good, but only in moderation, kind of like alcohol. So that concludes this video. I want to know your comments down below. Have you eliminated some of your video game time and been more productive as a result? Please comment down below. And remember that this channel doesn't do a Patreon, instead we sell our digital products down below. The more money we get from the content that you buy below, the more this channel can make. And if you really like this channel, you can subscribe to Mammoth Interactive's huge library of content. We release 20 to 60 hours of fresh new content per month, and that's every month. We have a monthly and yearly option. Our goal is to get to 10,000 monthly subscribers. We release everything from web development tutorials to interview prep to machine learning tutorials to game development tutorials and more. We're always releasing amazing new content. Also, please be sure to like and subscribe and share this on Reddit. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in another video.